All right, we just have time for a quick one. We're going to be doing a piece on a card on a piece of printable vinyl holographic starry sticker paper. That's a handful or a mouthful there. If you ever get this type of thing and try these techniques, be sure you get the right material. This is a printable holographic starry vinyl sticker paper. Okay, there's holographic cold press laminates. There's holographic vinyls. Not all of them are printable though. Okay, so you look for that printable description, or can be used in a inkjet printer type of description. Okay, so that being said, this type of paper is meant to be used through an inkjet printer, which is a water-based ink or toner, and it's good for water-based mediums. So Brilliance inks are water-based. Okay, not all white pigment inks are water-based. Most of them are oil-based, but Brilliance is water-based, so that's why this works so well. It's a really great combination. This is a really fantastic combination of media that just happens to be available. Get it while you can, you never know with inks and those types of materials out there these days how long they'll be out there and available for us to use. I have a huge collection of re-inkers for my white and black Brilliance pigment ink, okay, because it's the only type of its kind out there. Like I said, the other ones are all oil-based. So the Brilliance ink really opens up some possibilities as far as usage goes. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm doing some blocking out of this background. I'm not trying to cover this holographic patterning up completely. You can still see some of that color and patterning through what's going to represent the snow here. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to use some trees in here, so I'll block out some of that area. I'm not trying to get every single square inch of or partial inch of where these trees are going to go, so you don't need to be too super careful about that. Okay, and I say that I'm just kind of incorporating it into the technique right here because I really don't want to be really careful about this. I'd rather just make this really just pretty quick and fun process here. And this process here is a lot of fun. I don't have like a real definitive whatever composition in mind for this right now. I'm just thinking I want to use a couple of the little sledder kids on here, and I wanted to make like a little winter landscape, but what particular images I use in here I haven't really decided exactly yet. I don't know if I'm going to put a cabin in here. I don't think I am. I think I'm going to have this like a little hill that they can just go sliding down, or they're just exploring for their the area for their ideal, or I don't know, maybe that's their annual little hill that they go down. In fact, maybe I should give them a little bit more hillside. Okay, something like that. I just went up here another ½ inch or so, something like that. Okay, so Brilliance over Brilliance ink. Black Brilliance over the white Brilliance. Pigment inks are typically pretty thick, and when you're applying them on a lot of different types of surfaces, it might be really wet to the touch, but on this vinyl, printable vinyl, it dries really fast. So you can imagine pigment inks are, I almost see them, a lot of times I'm kind of mistakenly refer to them as paint because they really remind me of paint, but you know, they're just very thick, but on this printable vinyl, they really dry fast. It's just whatever emulsion is on there really sets up very quickly. Okay, I should really re-ink my black Brilliance pad to get a little bit more ink on there because it's going on fairly thick. I'm going to re-ink my pad. All right, we're all set to go here. That looks a lot better. Stamp, hold for a little bit to get that ink to transfer onto the surface. It probably won't give you, even though this is a really thick impression of pigment ink here, it might not give you a really super black impression, although that looks pretty good. Maybe it's because I re-inked it. But sometimes it, when you're kind of doing this process right here, it might result in kind of more of a, like a 90% gray look. Just because you're stamping your impression into, oh, it's just a very thick layer of white pigment ink that's down there. It's a thick layer of white pigment ink, so it gets absorbed. Your black ink might absorb into that thick layer. Okay, let me use my third one. I have a smaller one here, smaller tree. I was going to be lazy, but I thought, it's going to take too much longer to get the smaller tree. And then what I'm going to do, I think, I'm going to mask off kind of a little, I don't know, kind of bluff right there, and I'll stamp my tree behind it like that. And maybe go for another one right over here. So I'm using kind of different portions of this smaller tree. So you get like 3 impressions of it. Okay. Couple kids enjoying the snow. This one's off of a previous release. Probably about 2 years ago, I'm guessing. So not included in the current set. Or current new set, I should say. Some little footsteps. All right, let's see. Let's see if I could find my snow texture. Why can't I say texture? Let me see if I can find my little snow texture stamp. I'm going to use it in here. Okay, we have our snow texture stamp. And let's do this in blue here. Okay, so this is just standard dye-based ink, water-based ink, and I'm stamping, really, I'm not stamping onto the printable holographic vinyl starry sticker paper, but I'm really stamping onto the Brilliance white layer that's on here, okay? Although it would stamp on here, you just wouldn't be able to see it, so we should be able to see this blue, kind of a medium blue, on that snow area. And it's very, very light, so you don't see it too much. But it gives us a little bit of texturing to start off our, the tones that we'll add into this. All right. Now, my favorite thing, I don't know, it's one of the favorite things about this technique right here is I really love being able to use colored pencils on this type of combination of media. So, colored pencils won't apply really directly onto the vinyl, but it will color the dried white Brilliance ink that's been applied into the background. So let's start off with a light blue here. Let's see, what's the lightest blue we have? Let's go with these. So I'll go with a kind of a little bit of a range of blue tones, starting with the lightest one. And I'm going to just apply this at the base of some of the trees in here and right along that texturing that we've laid down too. Laid down with the stamp here. Okay, now one of the things is the imagery on here is pretty dry, but it's not completely dry. It feels dry to the touch, but if I'm scraping into it, it's kind of pulling a little bit. So you can heat set a little bit or wait for it to completely dry. But I'm kind of dragging around some black ink I could see. Anyways, you can see that little tinge of color, and I'll put some of this color onto some of my branches as well. Don't color in completely, leave some areas kind of lighter. But this, there's a lot of tone and texture and shading in the tree designs themselves, but when you go in and you add this color into it, it kind of fleshes them out even more, or when you do this shadow texture at the base, it really kind of anchors those objects down a little bit more, or a lot more. Okay, let's try a different tone of blue. I try to give a little bit of shadow to our characters. All right, so you can see our kind of our little landscape is kind of starting to come together a little bit. Looks like our little characters are kind of making their way home in the late hours, or maybe it's like the old days. You're allowed to go out. It's summertime, or not summertime. You're allowed to go out maybe after dinner, if you've done all your chores and your homework, and then go for one more, I don't know, whatever, sledding. Alright, so there they go like that. Now, the thing that I like to do is I like to bring in some additional texturing. We have our white paint pen, acrylic paint pen, and hopefully I can give this kind of some interesting textures, because the sky is so textured and colorful and active with all that starry holographic patterning up there. So I mean, little kind of white, dots on our tree limbs. It's not going to match that, but it just kind of brings another little kind of, textural dynamics, I guess, to other objects. It's in a different way. It's not as loud as the holographic patterns, but we're giving this texture, extra texture, to the trees here, so they aren't so far different from what's going on up here. There's a little more, like, say, contrast down here. Now that white's not going to look as white when this paint dries, though. But, it's it'll be visible. It's not going to be completely see-through or anything like that, so. Okay, now see, this area in here is kind of illuminated, so we'll have that with some additional, kind of starlight on the snow shimmer like this. So I put a few more dots in the area that are illuminated, then in the areas that are, a little bit more in shadows, I'll kind of spread these dots around a little bit. Have a little bit more space in there. But anyways, I mean, that kind of adds a little bit of shimmer and, I think whimsical, whatever, tone to the scene. There's some blue here too. Instead of just white, we can add in some, additional color into our objects. It'd be interesting to add some, like, Christmas lights into these trees. Add some different color little dots, like it's, they have some Christmas lights on them. I got a big blob of some paint here. All right, so pretty quick scene. I got a little blob there. Here, I'll show you what I'll do with that. Kind of sop it up, and I'll go over it again with that white. It removes easily. These are acrylic paint pens too, and acrylic pens are water-based, so it works really well with this surface. Let's see, and I guess I was going to add black to this, but I think it'll benefit from some black shadow work, being that I did get a pretty strong dark impression with my re-inked Brilliance pad. So yeah, why not? So I'm adding some shadow work at the base of my trees, and it kind of anchors them into the scene a little bit more. Let's see, I almost forgot. Let's do this. Let's have our little characters in a little red coat and jacket. And how about a pink one here? It's mostly in shadow, so. And maybe their little sled is red here. A lot of it's supposed to be like a lot of snow inside, but takes me back to going to the mountains. We didn't have like a sled, but we had those kind of those saucers, those snow, I don't know, those round saucers that we'd always use. Like that. All right, let's see. This one's a word stamp, Let It Snow. Sorry about my head. There. Do I want it right here? Here's a moon right here. Might be kind of interesting. Okay, I want to do that Let It Snow, but I think I want to do something longer. We have a little bit of space up top there. There's a couple new word stamps that come with one of these new sets here. And this would look better on a separate piece of paper and then just, you know, lay it on top, but I want to just make this one a real fast one. Card, so I'm just going to stamp it right into the scene. I'm just getting my my pressure practice in. And just making sure that I don't have my... I didn't get it perfectly straight, but it looks okay. It looks okay because I'm not going to redo it. I don't know. I could put another one right over the top there. But let me get this formatted here. Again, that stamp right there, that impression is going to dry pretty fast. So what I'll do is I'll get this matted up and I'll show you what this looks like in a fully formatted piece. And again, this is some sticker paper, so you just, you can peel this off right here like that, and you can mount it on another piece of paper really fast. So let's get that done, and I'll show you what this card looks like. Okay, a couple little mats on here, and we're done. You have your pretty exciting and fun to use holographic, starry, vinyl, printable sticker paper. And a nice shimmery kind of little scenario down below. It's done pretty easy with the Brilliance pigment ink laid down, colored pencil. And I really do think that the acrylic paint pens add a nice little touch in there. Yeah. So fun stuff. If you have any questions about any of the techniques, or if you ever run into kind of any issues, hey, I stamp these things out and they're not drying or something like that, let me know what you used and the surfaces. And even if you bought the wrong materials, I'll tell you what to switch up to and use, so that you can use the materials that you bought. So if it's not a printable holographic sticker paper, it might be stays on that you can use on there, and that would work. You got to alter some of the techniques a little bit, but it's just kind of a different media and sequencing that you might have to kind of incorporate into the techniques. All right, thanks so much for watching.